Hello everyone. Today we need to talk about something that looks far away, sounds complicated, and feels like one more international headline, but could become one of the most dangerous turning points in the Middle East in weeks. Because what happened today is not just another exchange of threats. It is not just another headline with missiles, statements, and military maps. What happened today is that the Houthis in Yemen officially entered the conflict by launching attacks on Israel for the first time in this current war. And that changes the story completely. It means this crisis is no longer moving in a straight line between Iran, Israel, and the United States. It is spreading. It is widening. And every time a new actor joins a conflict like this, the risk stops being local and starts becoming regional in a much more serious way. To understand why this matters so much, forget the complicated political language for a moment. Think about it this way. A fire is already burning inside one house. Now another house on the same street catches fire too. Even if the second fire starts smaller, everyone immediately understands the danger, because it means the flames are moving. That is exactly why this news is so alarming. The Houthis are not just any armed group. They are an Iran-aligned force in Yemen, with a long record of attacking ships, launching missiles, and threatening major trade routes. Their entrance into this war means Israel is now facing pressure from another direction, and the possibility of disruption in the Red Sea becomes much more real again. And here is the part many people are missing. This is not only about Israel being targeted from Yemen. This is about what happens next, because when the Houthis move, global shipping starts watching very carefully. Insurance companies start watching. Oil traders start watching. Governments start watching. And the reason is simple. The Houthis have a record of threatening commercial vessels in one of the most important maritime corridors on Earth. According to the Associated Press, the Bab el-Mandeb area connects to the Red Sea route tied to roughly 12% of global trade. So when the Houthis signal they are active again in a wider war, the fear is not just military. It is economic, strategic, and global. That is why this story is bigger than one interception or one launch. Israel said it tried to intercept a missile coming from Yemen. The Houthis then confirmed they had carried out the strike and warned they would continue operations. That matters because it shows intent, not just symbolism. This was not a rumor. It was not an unverified report. It was a deliberate message. They are now in the fight, and they want the region to know it. Once a group says publicly that it has joined and promises more action, every government in the region has to begin thinking about what else could open up in the coming days. Now ask yourself the question that makes this story hard to ignore. If the Houthis are now attacking Israel, what prevents the conflict from stretching further across the region? That is the fear sitting behind today's headlines. Because this war has already involved Iran, Israel, the United States, Lebanon, Iraq, and Gulf states in different ways. Reuters reported that thousands of United States Marines are arriving in the region as Washington increases its military presence, while the Associated Press reported that more than 300 United States service members have already been wounded and at least 13 killed in this war. That tells you this is already serious, before even counting what a new front from Yemen could trigger. And this is where the tension becomes much more dangerous for ordinary people watching from outside the region. Most people do not follow military developments every day. They do not study maps of Yemen or shipping lanes in the Red Sea. But they do understand rising fuel prices. They understand delays in goods. They understand when air travel gets disrupted, when markets panic, and when daily life starts feeling more expensive. The Houthis have already shown in the past that they can create fear around shipping routes. If this conflict gives them a reason to return to that pattern on a larger scale, then this is no longer a story only for war analysts. It becomes a story about the cost of energy, the cost of transport, and the stability of the global economy. What makes this even more intense is the timing. This is not happening in a calm environment. It is happening in the middle of an already expanding war, with Israel carrying out strikes on Iranian targets, Iran rejecting a United States-backed ceasefire proposal, and diplomacy still stuck in uncertainty. So when the Houthis enter now, they are not entering a stable situation. They are entering a region already under extreme stress. That means even a single additional strike can have effects far beyond the immediate impact, because it lands in a moment when nerves are already stretched, Militaries are already deployed, and trust is already collapsing. There's also a psychological side to this that makes the news especially explosive. In a conflict, every new front sends a message. It tells the other side that the battlefield is no longer limited. It tells civilians that the danger zone may be growing. It tells investors and governments that the crisis may be harder to contain than they hoped. And it tells the world that whatever plan existed to stop the escalation may not be working. That is why this single development feels heavier than a normal daily update. It is not just another event inside the same conflict. It is evidence that the conflict may be changing shape in real time. The most uncomfortable truth is that many of the biggest consequences have not happened yet. Today's alarm comes from what this could lead to. Could more missiles follow from Yemen? Could shipping companies reroute vessels? Could insurance costs jump? Could oil react sharply again? Could the United States decide it needs to respond more forcefully if attacks spread, or if more American personnel are endangered elsewhere in the region? None of those questions have a simple answer tonight, and that uncertainty is exactly why the story is so gripping. In crises like this, people keep watching not because they already know what comes next, but because they fear the next move could be bigger than the last one. And that is why this is one of the most alarming developments of the day. Not just because a missile was launched, but because a new door has opened. The Houthis have stepped into a war that was already dragging in more countries, more forces, and more economic pressure. If this becomes a pattern instead of a one-time event, the Middle East could be heading into an even broader phase of instability, one with more fronts, more pressure on trade routes, and more risk of miscalculation. Sometimes the most dangerous moments are not the loudest ones at first. They are the moments when the map quietly gets bigger. And today, the map got bigger. So the real question is no longer whether this conflict is serious. That is already obvious. The real question is how many more players can enter before the region crosses into something even harder to contain. Because once conflicts begin spreading through allied groups, shipping lanes, border areas, and military deployments, the danger is no longer only in the headlines you see today. It is in the chain reaction that might still be forming behind them. And that is what makes this story so unsettling. Not only what happened, but what it suggests may be coming next. If you were one of the people who thought this war had already reached its most dangerous phase, today's news is a warning that it may still be growing. And maybe that is why this story is holding so much attention tonight. It forces people to ask the same uneasy questions. Is this the beginning of a wider regional confrontation? Is this a warning shot that more coordinated pressure is coming from groups aligned with Iran? Or is this the moment diplomats realize the window to contain the crisis is closing faster than they thought? Those are the questions people carry into the next update, the next statement, the next launch, and the next market opening. Because in moments like this, silence does not calm anyone. Silence makes people imagine what may already be moving in the dark. And right now, that feeling is spreading almost as fast as the conflict itself.